Hi, how you doing? Thank you so much for being here. I'm instructor Dwayne Jenkins, and in today's video lesson what we're going to do is we're going to be talking a little bit more about the triads. Now, if you didn't watch my video before on the triads, I would recommend checking that out. That way you understand what that is. I'll leave that in the link below in the description box. Now, your triads are normally your guitar chords that you play here at the first few frets, like your E major, your G major, your C, your D, your A. Those are called triads, okay? And they're normally played here, but I had a student asking me about, can you play them further up the fretboard? And that's where bar chords, and yes you can, that's where bar chords come in, okay? Bar chords. Now bar chords are not always easy. If you don't know about bar chords, I'd recommend checking that out as well, because that's going to help you with understanding this lesson too. So once again, I'll leave a link for that video in the description box below. I'd recommend checking that out because bar chords are very important as far as playing up the fretboard, and I know they're not the easiest thing in the world to do, but work on them. I guarantee you they'll benefit you in the long run. I remember I had a hard time playing them myself, but you know, you just got to go through the pain. No pain, no gain, right? Okay, so make sure you work on that. Check out my video on that if you haven't. What I wanted to show you today is that you can play the triads on some of these higher strings down here as well, okay? And I'll show you an example how they're used. So number one, we have our A major triad right here at the 2nd fret on the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd string. And we normally would play it either with these 3 fingers here, or we would play it with these, we play it with these 3 fingers or these 3 fingers, okay? I normally play it with this. It just depends on the chord that you're going to next. So if you're playing them in a song, kind of depends on what chord you're going to next. I would recommend learning to play them with both ways, with these 3 fingers and these 3 fingers. And I would also recommend learning to play the A major by barring it like this. Then you can easily move it up the fretboard like this, okay? So I would highly recommend working on that, okay? So that you know all 3 ways to play that chord, with your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th finger, and also with your 1st, 2nd, and 3rd finger. Because it's going to help you, you know, you want to learn how to form chords differently because you never know what chord's going to come next in a song. And the way you finger the chord, the way what fingers you choose to form it are going to make a big difference on getting to the next chord quickly and easily. So with that being said, we're going to take our A major and we're going to bar it like this, okay? Now this is what's called a root 3 major triad. Now, the reason why that is because the A, which is the root of the chord, is right here on the 3rd string. That's without playing the open A. If we played the open A, then it'd be on the root 5, but we're going to just leave out the open A for right now in this example, and we're just going to talk about these 3 notes that we're fretting. The 4th string, 3rd string, 2nd string, all on the 2nd fret. Now if we bar it, the A, once again, is right here on the 3rd string. That's the root of the chord, the A. So we bar it like this, okay? Now if we take it and move it up the fretboard, we can change it to a different chord. Like for instance, if we move it up 1, that becomes an A sharp. If we move it up 2, 1 more, it becomes a B. So if you know your notes in your musical alphabet, which I would highly recommend learning that's going to really help you a lot with this kind of stuff. You've got your A, we move it up 2 more, it becomes B. Move it up 1 more, it becomes C. Move it up 2 more, it becomes D. Move it up 2 more, becomes E, 1 more F, 2 more G. So you could go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and if you want to do the sharps in between, A, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G. I would highly recommend learning that. It's very, very important, okay? That way you're going to know exactly where your chords are further up the fretboard. Now this is your root 3 triad. Very popular in songs on guitar. Very popular in songs on guitar. One of the ones is this one here. I'll show you just a little bit of it. Won't play the whole song, but I'll show you a little bit of how this can be utilized in a song. Clearly see that intro to the song is using that major 3rd triad, okay, that A shape, they're just barring it instead of playing it like this. So that's the first thing you want to learn, is take that A major triad, learn to bar it, okay? And that's going to give you a good way of playing, you know, up the fretboard as well. And it's going to give you a little bit of a different tone than playing like your A major bar chord, okay? So that gives you some variety in your playing. If you want this kind of sound, you can use the A major, or if you want this is a root 6 A major because the A is on the 6th string, so that's a root 6 A major. This would be a root 3 A major because your A is right here on the 3rd string. So that's one way you can play up the fretboard, and very popular. It's in a lot of rock songs on guitar, so I would highly recommend learning that. Okay, the root 2 triad is a really easy one as well because it's based off of your D major triad that you normally play right here. Okay? And this is a root 2 triad. Why? Because of the fact that the D is right here on the 2nd string. So in this chord, this is your D right here on the 2nd string, 3rd fret. And just like the A chord, if we move it up the fretboard, it changes into a different chord. So this is D. If we move it up 2 more, it's an E. We move it up 1 more, it becomes an F. We move it up 2 more, G. 2 more, A. 2 more, B. 1 more, C. 2 more, D. See how that works? Now if you want to add, once again, you have D, E, F, G, A, B. Now if you want to add the sharps in there, which I would highly recommend you do, and remember, if you go this way it's sharp, if you go this way it's flat, okay? So you got D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, and then back to D again. Okay? It would go all the way up and down the fretboard. If you were going this way, it would be a flat. This is your root 2. And this one's pretty popular as well. Okay? Root 2, major triad, and I would highly recommend that you learn this one too. Here's an example of this being used in a song. This is a song by the Traveling Wilburys called End of the Line. And they start here with the G major triad. We know that's G because G, A, B. We know that's B. 12th fret is the same notes as the names of the strings, so that's B, A, G, so we know that's a G, root 2, G major triad. Okay, because you can clearly see how that was utilized in that intro of the song. And you can use that for your songs. If you want to write a song and you want to put a little intro in there, have kind of a brighter sound, because that G is going to sound brighter than this G. See how this G gives us a kind of a lower tone because we're using some of these lower strings, is where this G is just using these higher strings, so it's going to give us a higher tone. So depending on what you're trying to accomplish, okay? Now the other one is the root 1 triad. And that one is where we just take and we bar the 2 bottom strings, the E and the B, and then we put our finger 1 fret over on the G string. That's kind of like an abbreviated bar chord. Now if you know your bar chords, you know, we'll say right here is a G major bar chord. We have the 1, the 5, and the 3. Now all your triads are going to be made up of the 1, 3, 5. And where they're located doesn't really matter, it's just they have to be located there in the chord. They don't have to necessarily be in that particular order, but they have to be in there. So this one you have the 1, the 5, and the 3. Now for this root 1, we've taken the 1 and we've 5, and we've moved it to here and here. The 1 here, the 5 here, and then the 3. So as you can see, if you look at this bar chord, this root 1 major triad is taken right out of that. See? You can see. So there's our root 1 major triad right there. And in that song I was just showing you, they used that triad right here. So in that intro, he went, sticking with the root 2 triad, root 2, root 1. See how they did that? They went from root 2 to root 1, back to root 2, stayed with root 2, so then root 1. Now you say, well, what root is that? Well, we know that that's a D note, okay? So Once again, if you learn your notes on your strings, you're going to be able to find this out pretty quickly. And what I love about the guitar is if you learn in patterns and shapes, the notes will automatically change to what they need to so that you don't have to worry about it so much. All you have to learn is the shape and the pattern, and it'll do the work for you, which is great about it. You don't have to think so much, and this is one of the reasons why a lot of guitar players can play by ear. They don't have to think so much because the shapes and the patterns, they will change to what you need them to change to automatically as far as the notes go. So once again, what have we learned? We've learned the root 3 major triad right here off of the A chord. We've learned the root 2 major triad off the D chord. And we've learned the 1 major triad off of the root 6 bar chord, okay? So this is a way of utilizing moving up the fretboard with different triads, okay? And you can use these both for rhythm and for melody, okay? For playing lead guitar as well. You can play with, these triads for leads or rhythm. It doesn't really matter. Now, if you want to learn more about chord theory, I would recommend checking out my book I wrote. This one's called Learn Guitar Chord Theory. Another book I wrote, another method book I wrote on it. And as you can see, it's a pretty thick book. And I have all kinds of diagrams in here for you. I can show you, as you can see, the chord diagrams. And I also give you some learning exercises as well. I give you some diagrams that you can fill out to make sure you understand the information. So what's in this book? Let's take a look. All right, let's see. So we've got Guitar Chord Foundation. That's chapter 1, where we learn the major triad, the minor triad, augmented, diminished, and then give you some triad exercises. Very good. The chapter 2, we learn our sus and 6 chords, which are suspended triads, major 6 chords, minor 6 chords, and suspended 6 chords. So if you don't know that kind of stuff, this book will teach it to you. Chapter 3, we learn the 7th chord. 7th chords are real popular in playing guitar, so I would highly recommend learning those. I'm sure you probably came across those in some songs and you wonder what they're about. Well, this book will show you the major 7 chords, minor 7s, dominant 7s, suspended 7s, and they give you some exercise. So after each one of the chapters, there's some exercises in the book that you can fill out to make sure you understand these chords, okay? Chapter 4, we have 9th chords, your major 9s, minor 9s, dominants. We have our chapter 5 is 11th chords, major 11th chord. Did you know that was a major 11th chord? There is. Minor 11th, dominant 11th, okay, suspended 11th. All right, in our chapter 6, we have 13 chords. Did you know that was 13th chords? Yep, they're more common like in jazz, but they're also used in rock too. Major 13ths, minor 13ths, dominant 13ths, suspended. And chapter 7 goes over chord inversions and extensions, because you have different inversions of triads as well. So if you have like the 5th is the lowest note, that's a 2nd inversion. If you have the 3rd is the lowest note, that's your 1st inversion. This book teaches you about that. 6/9 chords, chord progressions, chords within a key, which I kind of worked on that a little bit in our last video series. I kind of showed you about that. And so if you want to learn about that, I would recommend checking out that video. Bar chords, which we were just talking about a little bit ago. And each one of these has exercises in there, okay? So as you can tell from me flipping through the book, it's a pretty thick book. I give you all kinds of chord diagrams. I show you how to read it, give you some exercises. So if you want to learn more about chord theory, like, what the chords are, so if you've come across something in that says A7 add 9 or C/G, what does that mean? What is G sus2? What does that stuff mean? This book right here will show you exactly what it means and how to play it. So if you want to check that out, I recommend that. I'll leave you a link below for that. And work on your triads, okay? Work on these triads, work on your root 3, your root 2, your root 1, and it's going to really open up the fretboard for you, open up creativity, and show you a little bit more with songs. You'll see songs, when you learn songs, you'll see how they utilize those. And you'll be like, oh yeah, that's the root 2, that's root 3, and it'll really help you out with your guitar playing, okay? And if you want to get some more lessons on how to do some chord theory, I recommend checking out my book. I'll leave a link below, Learn Guitar Chord Theory. And if you want more information on how to play guitar, check out my website. I've got a lot of great lessons on there on all kinds of things on how to play guitar, really help you out with your learning. So keep practicing, and until our next lesson, take care. Audio Jungle.